And I hope everyone is comfortable with that. Thank you. Okay, so welcome to the Teacher Training Program 2026. Um, yeah, I'm so excited about this inception of the TTP because this is the fifth year that we are running a TTP from the OAE side. And we've always known over the last couple of years that this workshop is one of the most effective ways of getting people to come and ask us burning questions that they have about hosting a TTP and things like that. So I'm Tiamiso Makwela. I'm the OAE TTP coordinator. And this workshop rather is really meant at enhancing your skills for writing an effective proposal, especially tailored to the TTP. Okay. I want to rehash a little bit of the objectives of the OAE, and I'll just start by saying that, for those who do not know, the OAE is one of the offices of Astronomy for Education of the IAU, and they follow the OAD as well as the OAO. The OAD is the IAU Office of Astronomy for Development, and the OAO is the IAU Office of Astronomy for Outreach, or Astronomy Outreach rather. And we also have two centers as well at the OAE and at the IAU. And the OAE is the office that's focused on primary and secondary school education and not necessarily tertiary school education, which is why our objectives are speaking directly to that. Speaking towards the support of professionalization of astronomy education. This is in schools because we do know that in many countries, astronomy is not necessarily in the school curriculum. So we have things like the Show IAU workshop. Now it's no longer the Show IAU workshop, but it is the IOC, the International. Um, I
No,
forgot what it means,
the,
but
the
when will
I,
yeah.
IAU OAE Conference on Astronomy for Education. So it's
There
IAU is the abbreviation.
Thank you very much, Gwen, for that. Um, yes, from this year, and it's happening in November, and we can talk about that a little bit more later. We also look at teacher training as one of those and building community standards, as well as building OAE reviews as part of supporting the professionalization of astronomy education. We also work towards making sure that educators can find excellent resources that they can use in their classrooms, such as the development of our multilingual glossary of terms, as well as Astro EDU and the big ideas, which are all hosted on our OAE website. We also aim to support the inclusion of astronomy in curricula, and we do this with our astronomy education research program, where we look at different things in terms of how we can enhance the learning and understanding of astronomy in different countries. We also work towards maintaining and creating a network of associates, and this is such an important thing for us because not only are we saying we are growing our network, but our network is quite fundamental in the activities that we run at the OAE. So we have what we call National STEM Education Coordinators. You have OAE centers and nodes, which all help us in reaching our mission as the OAE. And we also want to continue keeping our stakeholders informed at all times. And that's the OAE. And the TTP speaks to the first objective of supporting the professionalization of astronomy education. Oh, sorry. Um, so if we look into the general terms, especially with regards to TTP, what is the purpose and scope of the teacher training program? So I always say that, in short, we say we want inspired teachers who can inspire learners. And that's what we aim for the TTP. We are aiming at not only teachers that we inspire, but rather empowering our educators. And with the TTP, we hope that, teachers get equipped with accurate astronomy knowledge and content, strategies of teaching that content that could be impactful in their classroom learning. And we also really, TTP is rooted in this contextualized local programs, contextualized learning, and our programs that we want to see proposed programs that are tailored to a local context and local needs, and showing that there is some relevance as well as to other things. But most importantly, what is important for the teachers within your own community, within your own context, should know, and what is it important for them to know going forward, in terms of their learning of astronomy. We also aim for TTPs that also foster some ongoing teacher networks, because one of the things that we say, and later on I speak on this, is the fact that we want the organization team to involve a teacher, an exit teacher, a NAEC, as well as an astronomer, is because we really want TTP to also show some sustainable professional development, where we see that, there are some ongoing teacher networks that build from this, some community of practices that get built from teachers that are attending a TTP, so that, more teachers can actually be involved in that network and know who to go to when they have questions related to astronomy and science. But we also aim for transparency and accountability. We want clear goals. What are people going to do? We all know that astronomy is not in most curriculums, but so why is it important then to do it if it's not in school curriculums? So this is what we want to answer. We want to know your clear goals. We want to know really who your audience is, and are you thinking about your audience, and why is it important that your audience learns about this thing? And also, we want to see how you plan on evaluating your program. And all of these things speak to transparency. How transparent are you in the methods that you want to use, as well as in the follow-ups that you want to do for your TTP? So generally, our objectives and our expected outcomes of the TTP, it's going to, where's it? There, okay, of TTP, speak to all of these things that I just said in 2 slides, but we want to improve the confidence of the teachers. We want to see our teachers confident enough to teach astronomy, and not just teaching astronomy, also using astronomy to teach other subjects. Seeing astronomy being used in physics, in mathematics, in geography, in art as well. We want the teachers to be confident in knowing how to do that. And we also want to increase our teachers' pedagogical practices, right? We want to make sure that our teachers, when they come to TTP, they get involved with doing stuff, some hands-on activities that they can take back into their classroom, maybe even some inquiry-based learning strategies that they can be able to take and adapt in their own diverse classrooms. Because again, teachers know their students best and they know their classrooms best, which is why the 3 people organizing these things are actually seen as co-organizers, not just one person organizing the whole thing and then inviting other people later, but it is really within and rooted within that community of practice. And we also want to make sure that, the TTP goes somewhere else. It strengthens what's needed in the local context. So even if it's, we offer really small micro grants, but even if it's that, what does it aim to improve within our local context? And these are things that we are aiming for in general throughout the whole TTP, not just one, but all within the model of the TTP. So with that in mind, I will speak a little bit about the legibility of the call, because this is something that's very important. In so many emails that we've gotten, is everyone asking, does it need to be submitted by a NAEC? Does an application need to be submitted by a NAEC? I don't know what a NAEC is in some cases. And the truth is, yes, each and every application has to be submitted by a NAEC team member who is also a principal organizer. We are saying this because we at the OAE, we have a relationship with our NAECs already. I think my numbers may not be correct at the moment, but I know that the OAE has NAECs in 120 countries. So there is no way there is no NAEC in your country. If there isn't, then this is a good opportunity to reach out to us. We have 120, we have NAECs in 120 countries. I'm not sure the total number of NAECs. Is it 419, Gwen? You are on mute, Gwen. Sorry. Okay. So Gwen might not be sure, but I think we have globally about
I'll
4
check.
419 NAECs globally. And so it means that there is someone you can actually reach out to. Um, and we need a team of 3 organizers who are also expected to be on site during the workshop. Like I said, we need a NAEC, which is non-negotiable. We also need an astronomer or amateur astronomer in your region because some countries might not necessarily have astronomers but have amateur astronomers, so that is also okay. And we really want a teacher, a practicing teacher, to be part of your organization. This is for teachers, but we'd really like teachers to be part of the organization as well. Only one NIAC can only submit one proposal. This is because in many cases we have at least five NIACs in each and every country. So there's at least 5 people that a person can actually reach out to. Except in those cases when there isn't enough NIACs, please do reach out to us on that.
Tia,
Yes.
there is a question in the chat from Irma. She's asking whether the astronomer have to be from outside the NIAC team because they have an astronomer within the Chilean NIAC team.
Okay. Yeah, so if the astronomer is within the NIAC team, that's still okay. You can have that person as the astronomer. Because I mean, we do say that it is okay for more than one NIAC to for 2 NIACs to actually propose one TTP. That is also allowed. So that is fine. Thank you so much. I will pause just in a bit just to look at questions and take some questions as well. And then yes, like I said, that countries with more than one NIAC can submit multiple applications. For example, if there's 5 NIACs in one country, you can actually submit 5 NIAC applications, or NIACs can actually collaborate in submitting one application. And here's the one thing that's quite important to us. All applications should be submitted in English. And this is something that we are very strong about. Please do submit your applications in English. If you do need help, you have to ask for that help this week. But next week, we won't be able to assist with language editing things. Just what we aim for in terms of our trainers, as I've already mentioned, that we need an NIAC, an astronomer, and a teacher, mostly because we really want to enhance this community of practice. We want teachers to know who astronomers that are available to them are, who can help them are. We want our teachers to also know our NIACs, and we want our NIACs to continue collaborating with our teachers so that it's not always feeling like the one-way thing where a NIAC comes and does things, and if the NIAC is not there, nothing happens. We really want to continue encouraging that community of practice. But most importantly, we want to appreciate the expertise that everyone brings within the group, which is something of importance for the TTP, because we want teachers to actually learn the correct content. We don't want to just give teachers wrong content and say, oh, it's okay. But that's why it's important to say we have an astronomer who brings in their content knowledge. We have our teachers that are bringing their knowledge of teaching and their pedagogical knowledge. And we have a NIAC who's kind of the overall person who has knowledge of the community, knowledge of the setting, and knowledge of where people are at. And all of these expertise brought together really enhance the TTP organization as well as carrying out the TTP. And I will pause for a bit here and just see if there's any more questions in the chat. And if you do have a question, you can raise your hand. Okay, Gwen has corrected me now, saying that we have about 361 NIACs in our network. Okay, so while there are no questions yet, this is something I'd like to hear from people. You can either post in the chat or unmute yourself as you answer this question. Why do you want to host a TTP? So If anybody would like to tell us why they would like to host a TTP, I mean, you're here because you're interested in hosting a TTP, you can raise your hand and let us know, or you can just post in the chat and I'll just read some of the responses that we get. Yes, Mark.
Hello, sorry, I won't open the cam because I'm on my phone.
No problem.
So, first, I would really like to thank you for this because why should we invest in such a training? Because you know this this kind of investment in teachers is never lost because every time we invest in developing the all these objectives that you mentioned already about the training is never wasted. And if we really want to, like in any country, whenever we invest in teachers, this will return a lot. But I mean, um, it's never wasted because the teacher then can help their students, and once the teacher is capable of doing these activities with confidence, um, as I always tell the teachers in the teacher training, it's not a training for you to tell you how to teach. It's a training with you to think like of new activities. It's a training with the teachers to to go together and build better activities. And I always wait for their response and their like contribution to to make it better. So why should why should we, or why do we want to host these TTP? Because we see the difference it makes in our schools. So again, thank you for this.
Oh, thank you so much, Mark. That is quite inspirational, even for me. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. We have another hand from Dinka. Yes.
Good morning. Thank you very much for preparing this meeting for us. My name is Tinka Nyewini. I'm the program officer for Cameroon Astronomy and Space Organization. I'm also a physics teacher and I've been teaching for close to 5 years. So we have always been organizing astronomy events in Cameroon, but the area that I found lacking, if not in my community, is inclusive educations for visually impaired students and blind. How can you explain to a blind student about the galaxy, about the moon? So I saw it as an opportunity for me to organize events and work with the organization, because I have a very good project of building a website that could help train teachers, because there's shortage of teachers or special needs, like for the blinds and deaf, give them basic training using AI tools, so that that website should help train the teachers in how to teach students about astronomy. And in general, they will be able to apply that in all subjects. So that I am applying for this event so that I can help make astronomy inclusive.
Hmm. Thank you so much for that. And we have another hand from Jean Pierre.
Yes, hello. Sorry, I'm on my way also, but I couldn't miss this meeting. So thanks for this presentation also. And I would like uh, to add to Mark's notes also, because we at Lebanon, we had 2 TTP already. And in fact, we see the difference. We see the involvement of the teachers doing activities with the kids in schools after the TTP. We are following them. We are following them on social media, and we see that the content of the TTP is also spread with schools and with students. So by the end, we are working for the new generation. And the new generation now are open to a lot of information. they are receiving a lot of information, and the curiosity about space is great, about astronomy in the new generation. So I believe that the teacher must be prepared also to answer questions sometimes students and kids have in their during their journey in the school. So preparing the teachers, preparing with the teachers, as Mark said, to answer some question, to involve more, and to feed the curiosity of the new generation is a perfect goal for these TTP. So thanks a lot. Thanks for the OAE for these opportunities. We didn't have any TTP before the TTPs with the OAE, so we see the importance of these kind of trainings. So thanks again. Ciao.
Thank you so much, Jean-Pierre. Thank you so much for those words as well. Then we have another comment from Buzani. Please remember that you can put some of your comments in the chat. Not that everyone has to speak, but you can put some of your comments in the chat. Yes, Buzani, you can go ahead.
Okay. My opinion is that we know that astronomy it's one of the subjects that is not out there in the curriculum. So most of the teachers were not trained in teaching astronomy. So for this teacher training, I think it's important because it will address the subject content knowledge. That is the first important thing, because most of the teachers, they do not have a content knowledge that is specifically in astronomy. To train them, it will assist them in the content knowledge, and also it will assist them to integrate astronomy in different subjects like physics, maybe like even in mathematics as well. And also another thing that I'm thinking of, it will also assist to inspire the learners to inspire the learners into enter into astronomy or space science. I think that's my take.
Oh, thank you so much, Bizani. I think you're also mentioning something that's quite important, the integration of astronomy within other subjects as well is quite an important thing that we aim for, because we know already that the TTP, the astronomy is not necessarily a subject on its own in the curriculum. And it's almost like we are the ones trying to put it in and slot it in some other places. But in order to do that, we need to make sure that our teachers are actually equipped with that knowledge. There's also a hand from Hassan Baba, and then I'll take Lakshmi, and then I'll take Jean-Preet. So Hassan, you can go ahead. Oh, you're on mute. I'm going to ask you to unmute.
I'm sorry for that.
No
It's very
problem.
strange. I just couldn't find the raise your hand button, sir. Thank you. I'm Hassan Baba. I'm from Sudan, representing STEM Sudan initiative. We have a serious problem here, either in Sudan or the refugees living or displaced living here in Egypt. Currently, I'm in Cairo. We have more than 2,000 teachers. 400 of them are science teachers, and we try very hard to make some workshops and some training session for them. We have a small equipment that we use to teach them how to do STEM activities, and we focus mainly on astronomy because we have so many models and we have some good topics that we conduct for students at school. We make some good activities for them just to mitigate the impact of the psychological effects of students and teachers in the community, because after the military conflicts, more than some millions migrated or displaced to Egypt. So we are trying very hard to increase their abilities to communicate with students and how to make hand-on activities and small manuals, so we can do more pressure of the official educational institutes in Sudan to involved in the curriculum. There's some small topics about astronomy and space, but it's not, they don't have much activities, and the teachers are not well trained. So what we are planning to do here, either in Sudan or here in Egypt, is to make workshops for teachers to attract them and equip them with some knowledge and organize their way they communicate with their students through activities in astronomy and how to use small tools and small things that like the solar models and small rockets and some drawings and that thing. So that's why we need to make a TTP session. I don't want to make it long, so I think this is thank you very much.
Thank you for that. There are some comments coming in the chat, and then I will, just because I think I'm running a little bit out of time, I'm gonna take the two hands and then read those comments quickly, and then we're gonna move on. So Lakshmi, over to you.
Yes, hello. For us, one of the thoughts was like astronomy is such a gateway science. Young students are always so interested in anything that you see about planets, stars, and stuff like that. And so using that to get them interested in their existing STEM subjects and using astronomy models to get students interested in the math units, the physics units, the geography units that are already in the existing curriculum, where teaching this to, STEM teachers is already, they have existing skills in that, like concept knowledge. And so using astronomy just as a case to further knowledge in existing curriculum subjects, I think that's one of our intentions with TTP as well.
Thank you so much, Lakshmi, for that. And then we have Jetpreet. You're next.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you perfectly.
Hi, thanks for first of all to OAE team for organizing this. Before I have one question, but before that I wanted to give you some context. So I'm from India. We are running a IAU OAD program called Khagolwani. So under this program, we are introducing astronomy and space science to kids coming from underprivileged backgrounds. So we go there, we do the sessions, hands-on workshops and stargazing sessions. And we are also giving some astronomy kits, which includes many low-cost activities. And we set up astronomy clubs in each of these resource-constrained schools or NGO centers so that they can sustain these activities. So while we were doing these activities, we realized there is no way we can sustain this project without training these teachers. So although we had OAD project, we are also simultaneously running the teacher training programs, which is the backbone of our project. So we every day receive so many updates from the teachers, like we are doing this activity today in their center. So yes, there is no doubt, like it's very, very important to train the teachers in whatever activities we wanted to do. So now coming to the question part. So as I said, like we have this OAD project where the support is for setting up these astronomy clubs, introducing kids to these astronomy and space science activities. But on the top of that, we are doing these activities for teachers also. So is there any possibility, because we are already running this project, to get some support from OAE for teacher training, or we also have to come through the same route of applying for a full project, like applying for this call and then getting some support for teacher training program? Yeah, thank you.
Yes, yes, thank you so much for that question. The answer is yes, you have to submit through this call because as I will get into the rest of the presentation, the way in which the application is framed for my TTPs has to meet a certain standard. And that means that each and every application that we get goes through rigorous review and evaluation for it to be funded. So, you have to kind of go through the step either way for it to get into that. But we can talk more in details when we come into questions if I've missed some parts of this. Okay, so yes, we have some nice comments about why people want to host TTPs, but I'm running out of time, so I'm going to try and be quick on some other aspects that are quite important, especially for your proposal writing. And I think one of the things that everyone is mentioning, just please let me know if you could see my slides moving with a thumbs up, anybody? Yes. Okay, great. So one of the things that everybody is mentioning is the fact that our teachers really need assistance because our teachers are dealing with students that are very inquisitive, students that are already asking questions and that are curious about things that are happening in space. And we need to ensure that our teachers have that. And this is kind of core to the proposal writing because when we speak about the fact that we want to host a teacher training, we want our teachers to do stargazing, we want our teachers to do this and that, we need to actually go back to how are you actually presenting this when you're writing a proposal to us at the OAE about your teacher training. And in this section, I just want to speak a little bit on that in so many cases, when we think about teacher training, we think about what we would want to see. We are looking at the program from the outside in some cases, versus when we are actually teachers sitting in and looking at what the challenges that teachers face on a daily basis. So in this way, we want your proposal to also think about teachers, meaning that we want you to center whoever your we want you to center whoever your target audience is within your proposal. So in doing this, we want you to actually identify the project needs. Let us know, in some cases, people have had teacher trainings before and they've gathered some teacher feedback or tell us things from the curriculum, just something to actually give us a justification of why do you think there's an important need within your context. So this is something that previously we could fish out within programs, but it was not clearly laid out, and which is why in the first part of the program, we ask you about these questions. Who is your audience? And what are their needs? And why is this important? So it's almost kind of like doing a needs analysis of some sort, letting us know what issues exist there. And the second thing, we want you to have very clear goals. You need, in many cases, we've had TTPs where people said, I want to run a TTP in 2 days, and we want to cover the whole of intro astronomy. Our class of intro astronomy runs for 6 months. That's how long it takes to make sure that somebody at least is competent in astronomy knowledge and not necessarily 2 days. But if you have 2 days with the teachers, what are some of the specific goals that you can achieve? And what are those goals aligned with? And I think this speaks directly to what Bizani was saying, that we need to look into how can astronomy therefore be integrated in physics. What are some of those alignments that you see as you're planning your TTP? And this speaks to the clear goals that you need to see, that we need to see. I'm saying we, but I'm speaking on behalf of the evaluation, the reviewers who are going to be reviewing your applications. They need to know what your goals are for this TTP. And they also want to know, how are you planning on implementing that TTP? Give us a timeline, a location, a duration, and how many participants you want to be with. For example, in many cases, we've seen some proposals saying we want to reach out to 200 teachers in 2 days. And we just thought, but how are you going to actually build a community of practice there? How are you building a network there? And we see that actually dealing with 20 teachers in 3 days and dealing with 200 teachers in 3 days are two different things, and they require two different methodologies. So even when you are planning your TTP, you really need to think about the feasibility. How feasible is what I'm planning for this audience in mind? Which goes back to who is your audience again. And also you need to have clear outcomes and evaluation methods that you're going to use in order to show us these things. I think we are going to be having some TTPs, and they'll show us some of the things that they have done in their TTP and sharing what they have also done in those things, because sometimes evaluation can be a little bit difficult, because how do you actually show impact, without necessarily being there in the classroom, but you actually see it. And these are some of the things that our evaluators are looking at. And the other thing is that, within the TTP model, we've always said that, we are not saying that people can, must write or must have the experience of writing for big proposals so that they can get our TTP. No, the TTP actually lies, number one, as I've always said, that it lies within the context. You need to tell us what are the needs of your context and why this is important in your context. And this also does not necessarily say how well experienced you are in hosting teacher trainings, but rather showing some innovation, some novelty, and value to your community and to your context. And I've put some some ideas there that, we are looking for a proposal that shows innovation, whether through adapting resources to new context or even reaching underserved audiences effectively. And maybe your TTP could be that, there are teachers who are in rural areas and they have no access to these things. And this TTP is trying to bring them into a world where they can have access to certain things. Again, we want you to show, and which is why who's organizing this is important. We want to make sure that, the people who are organizing these things are credible people that we can trust. And which is why we are saying that a team has to be composed of those 3 people. And also in your application, you need to show what these people's expertise are. But also not just saying, oh, this person has a PhD in astronomy, but mostly so, what are they going to bring into the TTP? What kind of role are they going to play within the TTP and in organizing the TTP? And also we want to show within your proposal that, okay, this might be a small micro grant, but I could use this grant for something else, for showing a longer impact or a long-term impact rather in that. So we want to see if maybe you have plans, whether the plans come in form of you applying for a TTP again to do what you did in that context, but doing it in another context. But we want to see some plans that we could have with the funding and also plans beyond our funding. We also want you to be quite transparent and realistic, because we are going to be sharing some of your own best practices that come from your TTP with the rest of our community, because we choose the best of the best, by the way. We get amazing applicants, but we choose the best of the best applications because we really think that whatever they are doing is really worth sharing with the rest of the community so that they can take the best practices into their own context. So we want you to be realistic and transparent about everything, from how great something worked to what the challenges that you had were, and maybe how you can solve those challenges next time, even if it's not for you, but for someone else. And with that, I will take a pause a little bit before I speak on the transparency standards to take questions and to also drink some water. So any questions? Questions in the chat, comment in the chat. Anyone with any question? So if there are no questions, yes, there is a question. Yes, that's great.
Hi, so I have few questions regarding the details of the application process. So is it the right time to ask it now, or should I wait till the end of the talk?
Let me take those questions later on the detail.
Okay, sure. I'll wait till then.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Maybe some logistical questions that can come later. Okay, so I'll just speak a little bit about the astronomy teacher training standards, especially because this is now at the heart of the TTP. I must say from the onset that, we do not with the astronomy teacher training standards, we are not saying that the standard is a one size fits all. Because, if you are saying, oh, something is a standard, we normally think about, oh, this is what must be done exactly this way. And if I'm not doing something this way, then I am not necessarily doing this thing up to the standard that was set. So our standards are not necessarily about that. Our astronomy teacher training transparency standards are not like that at all. They aim to support the professionalization of astronomy teacher trainings, ensuring some consistency, a good quality, and also the appreciation of diversity. Diversity in TTPs, diversity in resources, diversity in language,
Why you weren't ready?
as well. And so this is what the TTP standards, the astronomy teacher training transparency standards are about. And these come from a pilot study that was done in 2022 and published in 2023, where we looked at the different astronomy teacher trainings that exist and actually looked at what are the core principles that were being done within those things. And we tried to put these together into TTP standards, into ATTTS standards. So we call this the AT3S, which are the Astronomy Teacher Training Transparency Standards. And these also provide a clear way to document stuff, which aid organizers and reviewers and other participants to get a look into how people are planning their teacher training programs and executing their teacher training programs. And this offers a space where people can get inspiration, like I said, of the best practices. And I'm going to repeat this because we choose the best of the best TTPs to fund. This is also a great place for people who already have funding of their own, but want to run a TTP and want to adhere to the standards, to come here and actually look at what are the most important things to consider when running a TTP by learning from the best practices from previous TTP holders. And this also encourages people to be more explicit about the choices that they make. In many cases, we say, oh, I chose to do this lesson because it's important. But actually, when you're being explicit, you let us know why was it important to start there, especially in your context. Making sure that now other people, when they come back, they look into what has been done and how it was done and how they can either replicate what you've done before or also modify it into their own context. So the astronomy TS3 are quite important for us because they really allow us to be able to look into teacher trainings globally. So the 5 key things that are addressed by the OAE standards, one of those is content knowledge, the methods that are used that speaks to pedagogy, the issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion, certification and evaluation processes, as well as the educational impact. But the main and key takeaway from this is that we focus on transparency, and transparency speaks to that, being explicit about the choices that you make for your TTP. So in this round of the TTP, you will see that the application includes things that are directly linked to the standards as well as to our needs analysis. So we've put everything together so that it is well reflected in these standards. So, for example, things around content speaks to things on learning outcomes and content accuracy. Things like, if you're speaking about learning outcomes, you're speaking about what is it that you want teachers to know at the end of the workshop. Are these concepts also part of the curriculum? And these are certain things that we want you as a person who's applying for a TTP or thinking about running a TTP to think about as they are planning their TTP. Who is teaching this content that we're going to be dealing with, and what is their background is also addressed in the questions that in the actual application form. We also ask about the resources and the type of resources that you're going to use to deliver that content that you said you will. So the learning outcomes that you set out are the resources that you're using, actually speaking directly to those. And, I've put some of the resources that we have at the OAE, and I've already said that the TTP could be, we are trying to find ways in which we can apply some of these resources into our own context, and that can also speak to how do we translate the resources that we have to local languages, which is something that has been done in one of the TTPs with the big ideas in astronomy. When you speak about methods and pedagogy, when you speak about the methods, we're speaking about the pedagogy. Pedagogy being how do you teach, the actual teaching, and that we looked into. What are the strategies that you use as well? And then we also speak about the transfer to the classroom. How do you think teachers will transfer this knowledge into their classroom? What are the skills that they will gain in this TTP that they're able to do that effectively? Also, what are the teaching tools and strategies that they gain as well? And I've used some pictures from a previous TTP. So all the pictures that I used here are a TTP that we've already supported. And then we also speak on issues of equity, diversity, and inclusion. We want you to think about representation and some biases. We want you to think about how you can include underrepresented groups if your TTP is not necessarily linked to that. We want you to think about accessibility. Who is this open to? Your workshop, as you're organizing it and you're thinking about it, who are you opening it to? We also want you to think about the language in which the workshop is delivered. Remember that the proposal has to be submitted in English, but the workshop itself can be carried out in a local language. So you need to actually also think about those things. We also want you to think about cultural responsive pedagogies as well. Any cultural biases noted? Are you noting also the different ways of knowing, from indigenous knowledge, cultural knowledge, and all of those things? Those are things that we also want you to continue to think about in this. We also have something on evaluation and certificate, which I'm going to run through now because we're running out of time. And also, we want you to think about the educational impact and funding beyond this, okay? So being long-term and short-term impact of the project, what do you anticipate the impact of this workshop to be? How do you assess it? What challenges are you going to be looking at, as well as who's funding this project? Do you have additional funders for the project, and so forth? So basically, the application form as it stands and the process of applying for the TTP reflects what the standards of the TTP are, or rather the standards of the astronomy teacher training transparency standards are of running an astronomy teacher training. It's very clear the standards are not necessarily saying everything that if one does this, it will apply for the others as well, but rather they highlight clarity, reflection, and accountability in each and every stage of the OAE teacher training. And I want to stop it for a little bit and just stop here a little bit. And I'd like to invite some of the TTPs from 2025 to come share what they have done. I'll first start with Kenya. If you can start, if you're here, you can do that. I'm going to stop my screen. And then I will just answer some questions after our TTPs present. If you have any questions that you think you might forget, please put it in the chat and I'll directly speak to those questions. I don't know if Tabitha or Lakshmi.
Yes, just like a summary of what we did.
Yes, just like a summary of
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so our program was focused in a village called Ilaret, that's in northern Kenya. So there's very little access in that area to really anything medical facilities. There's only like 4 schools. There's one high school. We have around 30 students in that high school. So we aim to reach all the teachers in that area. We had a total of 17 teachers because we opened up to more than STEM. So we initially called for all the STEM teachers, but we ended up with teachers from even humanities and even sort of lower year groups. And so we did 2 days of the workshop. It was mainly, so before the workshop, we looked through the Kenyan national curriculum and we looked for points in STEM subjects where you could insert sort of astronomy examples. So, like when you teach scale drawings, you can use planetary distances as an example to teach scale drawings or conversions. So, like that, we went through the entire curriculum for high school and primary, and we identified those points and then we sent those out to teachers so that they would prepare like a short lesson. So, the format of our workshop was we did some just astronomy concept explanation that was mostly for the teachers. So basic, just orienting themselves with, rising and setting of the sun, diurnal motion of even the stars, solar system orientations, and then we did the teacher lesson. So each teacher would come up, do a short lesson on like scale drawing or on in physics on satellite motions, and then we would come in as the TTP instructors and then we would extend that lesson with an astronomy example. So we would then come in and say that you can use we'd introduce like the planetary distances or what's in the solar system, and then we would say that here's a table of the distances between planets. How can you use this to teach scale drawings in math unit? So that was the general format of our workshop. We were really supported by TBI, which is Turkana Basin Institute, that operates in that region, because some of our funding issues was getting there. It's a very rural area, and so getting the instructors there was very cost heavy. But yeah, that was the general format of our workshop. I don't know if Tabby has if there's anything.
Yes, yeah, sure can add to what Lakshmi has said. So, yeah, the thing that really worked for us is that we were starting from a point of known to unknown. So, like we say, then when a teacher then presents a lesson like they will present them in class, then we are able to see, okay, this is an element that maybe we can bring in, for example. So, most of them will take an example of scale drawing. They just do it, more of theoretical. But then now, when we bring in the concept of using planet distance from the sun, then they see it more practically. And we also try to model it in a way that they can replicate these ones in their classrooms. Ileret is a very remote place, so we don't expect them to be teaching some of these concepts with softwares and everything. But then we use simple things as like just like a chalk, and then they just draw on a floor. So, and the only thing they need is a chalk and a ruler and just a ground to write on using the chalk. So you find that these are models that can be replicated to the classrooms even after the workshop. So that is what really worked for us. And yeah, so and then in terms of maybe challenges that we faced, of course, looking at the Kenyan curriculum and also pointing out these aspects or these concepts that can be replicated with astronomy, you know, we need to like there's a limited understanding of concepts from the teacher's side. So that is why we had to like build up from explaining basic concepts and then now tying it to what is there in the curriculum. And then, as usual, time is never enough. So there were concerns about we should make this on more than 2 days. But then, as said, there are budget limitations and also even the way the school calendar is structured, we could only manage 2 days with the teachers.
Yeah,
But
just
if,
yeah,
mm,
just
but if,
one. Yeah,
yeah,
sorry.
sorry. Yeah, it's fine.
No,
Yeah, go ahead.
just one more thing is that the way the teachers are posted by the national government, they're always rotating. So the contract might be for 2 or 3 years.
Wow.
So the other main challenge was that maybe we go and we do this workshop, they teach there in those schools for 1 or 2 years, but then after that contract ends, you're starting again. So as long as it's not like built into the national curriculum, we're facing that problem of always starting from scratch in that same area. Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, truly. So, and I think for this specific area, the turnover rate is very high because it's very remote, and then the issue of insecurity. So when a teacher gets an opportunity to get out, they just choose the first option of getting out. So it makes it difficult to just maintain sustainability and to also just ensure that the cascade effect then goes to the students in this region.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a big problem for sure. I
Mm.
think that is it from my side. Yeah, not much that I can share.
Thank you so much, Jada and Lakshmi. I think one of the things that I'm taking from this is that you also wanted to move teachers from the known to the unknown and get an element of them exploring what they already know in a different context, in this context being a different content knowledge as well, which was really, really great. And I think the challenges within different countries, we don't know about them, right? But this is why it's important that for us, especially at the OAE, to show others that the different countries have different challenges, but other challenges might be similar to your own. Especially when you have a teacher that's going to be rotated to somewhere else, it's like you want to have that continuity, and you can only hope that wherever they go with that in mind as well. Yeah, thank you so much for that. Next we have Raul from Mexico to share some of their TTP. Hi, Gwen. You are you are on mute.
I was just saying, I've just posted a question for you that I was sent directly, which I think you might want to answer to the whole group, but you might want to do it after
Okay. No
Mexico.
problem. Hi, Raul, we can see.
Okay. Hi. Good day to everyone. I need to share my screen. Is okay?
Yes, you can share your screen.
Perfect. So, and now this is our teacher training program that we organize in Mexico. This is a beautiful pyramid. Well, it's a temple, and it's a calendar. There's no time to explain all these things, but so I skip to the teacher training program. So we organized our teacher training program in two places, in two venues. One was in this state, the state where I live, that is Puebla here. The other is in Michoacán here, because we wanted to divide the country in these two venues. We almost did this thing. Okay. In Puebla, the place where I work is the National Institute of Astrophysics, Optics, and Electronics. It's very old. It's 85 years. It was an old observatory. And in Michoacán, it's part of the National University. So in both places, there are enough astronomers, more than 40 professional astronomers, probably. These are the participants in both TTPs. Well, in fact, it's one, but divided in two. So one is in Puebla. This is our old Schmidt camera. Is inside. You will see a picture in the next in a few minutes. And the other is the ENES, so it's a national school. And in Puebla, there were 20 participants. In Michoacán, there were 12. So it was around 30 participants. These are the programs, and the programs you can see one is in English, sorry, and the other in Spanish. But you can see that we have this introduction to the OAE and to the NAECs and all the AstroEdu and everything OAE offers to the teachers and to the NAECs. We talk about the national telescopes in which Mexico is involved, as we have very large facilities like the Large Millimeter Telescope and the High Altitude Cherenkov, etc., etc. But we divide the sessions in several topics: solar system, of course, solar system, stars, galaxies, and even, believe it or not, cosmology. These are the astronomers. As I told you, there are about 40 astronomers in my institute and about another 40 in the other institute. And of course, they talk about what they do research. I mean, this astronomer works with the sun, for example, and he talked to the teachers about the sun, and the same for galaxies and for cosmology. We have a very old solar telescope, and they do some practices with this telescope at INAOE, but at the next they have modern solar telescopes. They do research. They're more specialized in solar astronomy, so they do some observations too. We talk about the fundamental laws because in the on the programs we used to talk about the Kepler laws, Newton laws, gravitational law, etc. And as I told you, even we talk about cosmology because in the program there is a section called cosmology, but of course on a popularization level, and even our young cosmologists talk about this and start with this question. Really, cosmology for teachers is the question on the projection. Several of you will remember that we were framed at the beginning of the NAECs program because we were invited to fill the Excel the Excel. Do you remember, Shamiso?
Yes, I
And
do remember.
and I said, okay, it's an Excel, no? And we just start to fill the Excel, and it took weeks to fill the
Yeah.
Excel, of course, because you need to look for all the topics in all the levels of elementary education about astronomy. So we did it, and it was okay. We finish, we submit. It's already on the web page of the OAE. But in 2024, the educational system in Mexico changed. So this is now called New Mexican School, and of course we need to do all this research. We have to do it again. Fortunately, one of our students decided, a physics student decided to do his bachelor thesis doing this, and it was great. And it's part of our team, of course. Yeah? And we got this like a summary of the topics in high school, primary school, secondary school, and high school. Sorry, it is in Spanish, sorry, but you can see that optics, Earth and Moon, solar system, stars, galaxies, and it's very strange. And it's in the primary school that there are more topics in astronomy than on the higher levels. Yeah, even you can see at the high school there are a couple of topics about this. Okay, but okay. Well, so these guys that came to Puebla, they of course they visit the historical telescope. This is a famous Schmidt camera, and they practice with this camera. But they also practice with the small telescopes, of course. Although many of them were really very good already using small telescopes. I will tell you why later. Okay, so they do, of course, experiments mainly with light that is beautiful, yeah. And the main thing was to exchange ideas among them, to exchange extra strategies, to exchange things they have already they have done. For example, this teacher, the first one with the cup is a very known astrophotographer. He has a very nice small observatory at the roof of his home and took a lot of pictures. So he want to share these things with all the teachers, how to do that with the cheap equipment. Yeah? But there are many. There are very different profiles. So they exchange, they talk, they talk. They talk for several times during the workshop, and they during the TTP they exchange books, they exchange tips, for example, about buying these kits optic for teaching optics. But some others said, well, this is not cheap. This is maybe can be expensive. So we can ask to people to build them to fabric them, and it's even cheaper. We can do a lot of them with I think it's resins is the word for this material, and you can share with all the students. And even if the second TTP just finished a couple of weeks ago, they have already been sharing things. For example, one of the teachers tried for the newspaper and share the experience on the for this TTP. Some other is more specialized on literacy and share this manual for promoting the reading at the school. But this is what I think is beautiful. This is one of the teachers from one of the more isolated communities in Mexico, and he shared what he did after coming back to his school with the students about what he learned at the TTP. So, what do we think is different in this TTP? Is why do we need this TTP? Because uh, Mexico is large. You will see we are 120 million in this country, and is a very large country. We have many institutions, universities, and research institutes that organize this kind of TTP of these workshops. But you can see we have 1.2 million teachers in primary and secondary school, and we have about 500,000 teachers in high school. So doing this, even if we want that the attendance, the TTP reproduces this TTP on his communities. This is not enough. It will take a very long time to do it. So uh, we wanted to create well, as many things, answers come from the sky. Yeah. Because we didn't know how to do that. So the answer came from these eclipses that passed in Mexico in 23 and 24. And we learned a lot of things. We learned that we can offer the talks online with the topics in that case related to the eclipses, but we needed on-site sessions. We needed a course for those people that could not come to the talks online or to go to the venues. And of course, we need a web page, a repository, and many other things. So we reach 5,000 teachers for the eclipses with the online sessions, and with asynchronous course, we reach almost 20,000 teachers. So we think that we should reproduce this, and we are just working on this creation of this Teachers for Astronomy network. And these are all the states in Mexico, and most of the states, all these names there, they participate in these TTPs either in Puebla or in Morelia. So the idea was that the TTP be the pretext to start this network, and I think it has started. It will work quite well, and we have a chance to reach many more teachers in the country, and of course the students. Okay, so the teachers, the attendants are now the link in each state. We expect to have more links in each state because as I told you, are very big, this country. And for those teachers that could not either take the talks online, the sessions online, or go to a venue. We are working on this asynchronous course that can be online and that can be saved in these memories, and you can take this to your community and share. Okay. What is really interesting is the teachers are very interesting in participating, not only just following this asynchronous course, but just contributing with these videos, with these lectures, with experiences that will enrich the course, will enrich the web page, and will enrich the network. Okay, so this is the team. The Mario Rodriguez was in charge in Michoacan. Diana Cruz is the student I told you made a thesis on these topics. Rogelio Quintana is from the university, the local university in Puebla, and is of course working with the asynchronous course. And Juan Carlos Vera is one of the teachers part of the team. And as you can see, he was at a radio program, not only with his students but also with his telescopes. So this is my name is Raúl Mujica, of course. This is the email for the Next Mexico if you want to contact me, and this is my institutional email. So good luck to all who want to apply for this TTP. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Without wasting any time, I think I'll call on Dunja. Is she here? I can't see her name.
Sorry. Yes, I'm here.
Oh, yes,
Can I
yes.
share?
I can
Yeah.
see you.
Okay.
Yes.
Hi.
Over
Hi,
to
everyone.
you.
Okay, I will try to share my presentation as well.
Yes.
Okay. So, let me see if it's working. Just a second. Okay. I will retry again. Yes, that. Just can you confirm that you can see my presentation?
It is coming up.
Okay.
Yes, we can see it now.
Okay, very well. So hi to everyone. So I'm Dunja Fabian. I'm the NAEC from Slovenia, and actually I would like to present what we did in Slovenia with the teacher training. So our teacher training was basically an observational astronomy teacher training, and it involved an intergenerational learning, let's say, program. It was funded by the IAU, and it was also funded partially by Cosmolab Institute and by the University of Nova Gorica. So the basic thing was that we wanted to do a hands-on workshop for 10 Slovenian teachers, and it was focused on building confidence in using basically telescopes. The idea here was to basically pair together teachers and students, and we wanted the students that were attending Go Chile summer school to be basically the teachers of the teachers. So when learning together, that would basically spark curiosity in teachers, and teachers will be will like a lot to learn together with students. Unfortunately, we have to rearrange a little bit our training, but I will explain it to you later. So we started from one of the, let me check if I can go. So the context, I have to speak about a little bit about the context in Slovenia. So there is basically no astronomy in Slovenian high schools. We have an elective course at the middle schools, no astronomy at the lower level of schools, but we have in high schools, let's say, there are some schools, technical schools, that can have elective course in astronomy, but it's basically not taught. And what they have at high schools is just some astronomical clubs, and that's basically all. So there is a lack of teaching fundamental astronomy in high school at high school level. Also, during the year of astronomy, so in 2009, some of the schools were provided with astronomical equipment. And it was intended also to have some teacher trainings in order to know how to use the astronomical equipment, and it was unfortunately not funded. And at the end, the schools have some astronomical equipment, but teachers do not know how to use it. And the third thing is that there is some disparity between schools. So there are schools in the city area that have a lot of funds, and they have also a lot of students, so they can also have a lot of students going to these astronomical clubs and teachers that are doing astronomical clubs. And unfortunately, this is not the case in every school, or in the schools that are around, or in the more country areas. So what we wanted to address is these specifics from our context. So this is the description, let's say, of our teacher training. It wanted to be a 5-day workshop for Slovenian high school teachers and integrated together with the Go Chile student summer school. I have to speak a little bit about this Go Chile summer school that is held by University of Nova Gorica, and it uses a small telescope, actually 2 small telescopes that are located in Chile. So the idea is that you can do the observations during the day, since we are on the other side of the globe. We wanted so to pair together the teachers and the students, so to work together in smaller groups, and basically all the program was focused on active participation of the students and teachers. And we wanted also to bridge basically the gap in the national physics curriculum, because in the physics curriculum there are 3 hours devoted to astronomy, and that it's obviously not enough. And we wanted to provide also some ready-to-use materials to the teachers, and we wanted also them to think about this material and to start to develop some other materials for their use at schools. The program was developed in such a way that was free for all participants, both students and teachers. So the students were basically funded by the University of Nova Gorica, and instead the OAE was funding the participants, the teacher participating in this workshop. And this workshop was also done in order to have a proof of concept for a future official certification, and basically a teacher training that will be proposed at the national level. And this is actually what we are working on it right now. So we proposed it to the ministry that is covering all these different teacher trainings, and we are now waiting for the outcome. So the target audience, as I said, were high school Slovenian teachers, but we actually broadened a little bit our target. So we had also some teachers from the middle schools where they already have some astronomy. So all of them were starting not from very, very scratch. Some of them were, but all of them had a little bit of knowledge of astronomy, not very much. They were selected basically on their interest in astronomy. We also were seeking to have a group of teachers that were as diverse as possible. So in our case, we had 40% of women participating, and also teachers were really not from the main cities and were spread all around. And that's something that is new for us, because we're working a lot with teachers, but usually the teachers that show the most are the teachers from the city centers. And the priority was given to schools that do not have astronomy clubs or own equipment. So to try and start with using the equipment and to understand how to learn to use that equipment. So in the regional planning, as I said, we wanted to do it in the summer. We wanted groups that were paired together with 2 students and 1 teacher. The duration was of 5 days altogether in just 5 consequent days. And the number of teachers that we planned at the beginning was 8 teachers. However, we have to change strategy, and at the end we ended up to have the teacher training in the winter. The groups were smaller. Not smaller, but diverse in the sense that we had 2 teachers and 1 student, and that student was already using the telescope in Chile, so they had already some knowledge in how to use the telescope, and they had basically the opportunity to teach the teachers. 5 days were also not all in all subsequent days, but we split it in 3 days that were in person, and 2 days that were basically the prolongation of this teacher training, in a sense that we spread it in 3 months, basically. But this was actually a good idea, in fact, because of the things that we were doing, and also I will show later what we did. So, and also we enlarged the community in the sense that we made some space for 2 more teachers. So that was also a good thing. So basically we had 10 teachers for 5 days, actually split in 3 plus 2 days in different occasions to perform other observational activity. And the teachers, so the groups actually were doing different observational projects. The projects were about observing exoplanet, doing some astrophotography, observing globular clusters, clusters of galaxies, and observing the planets. So, for example, Uranus and the moon around it. So, these were the topics that were covered in this this project that they have to basically to start at the school, the in-person classes, and then to develop later in the later months. So these are some of the pictures that I put it together because I think it was really, really nice to have all the people together. So the on-site training was done in January, at the end of January. You can see a bunch of people smiling at the left slide, so left photo. We had also the opportunity to visit some laboratories at the University of Nova Gorica, to have lectures from professors at the University of Nova Gorica, and actually to perform the observation during the night. So we started the shift at midnight until 10 a.m. And in different groups, we were observing different things with the telescope. But obviously, the telescope was observing for one project at the time. So the project were following each other. So we had another bunch of observational follow-up. So basically, the teachers had to reuse the telescopes, but by themselves on another time in February. So basically 2 weeks later. So they had to remember what they learned during the on-site, so in-person training. And then we had also a final meeting where we exchanged ideas. We presented also our work, and we talk about what were the outcomes of this teacher training. We did also some evaluation. Actually, we did a post-workshop self-assessment survey with some questions asking the teachers about their knowledge previously, before taking this training and after the training. And as you can see, I put it in the blue green boxes, all their thoughts about that. But what we got from the survey is actually that they met their primary goal of learning how to handle the telescope and also to use some specialized tools for data processing. Actually, we were not so focused on the data processing. We didn't want it to do all the steps that usually astronomers do, but we wanted to use the images to extract some meaningful information that can be used in the school environment. We had also this cooperation between students and teachers that was really enriching all the participants. We addressed some initial weaknesses of the participants, that they did not have basically practical experience with telescopes and observations. And we think that at the end we managed to have a very collaborative atmosphere. And actually the teachers were saying that they were really interested also in other projects, so they were staying awake during the night just to see what the others were doing and to exchange ideas also with other people that were doing so other projects, and that was really, 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 really nice. So if I wanted to speak about the outcomes, basically I have to say that so they developed the understanding of basic astronomical concepts that they can then use in classes. They gained some experience in using the the equipment that we gave them, and they had some really basic knowledge of data analysis, so what to take and how to see the picture, the image, and maybe for the astrophotography part, they also get some insights in how to combine the different photos. But this was everything that we had. So the important thing was that we also wanted some intergenerational sharing of knowledge, and that was really, really very, very good. And teachers were very, very impressed by those students. And they had also to solve obviously some problem and to do it in a collaborative way, and that was really nice to see during the training. As for the classroom application, we asked them to develop or to think how to use the images that they took during the training, also in the classes, and they had enough time to use these images in the classes. For example, one of the example was for the galaxy cluster they took an image of, and the idea was try to count all the galaxies and to see if they are spirals or ellipticals. And one of the teachers was able to do it in an elementary school, so basically in a middle school, I will say middle school, and they just divided the photos in different bunches. With the projector, they tried to understand which of the galaxies were ellipticals and which were spirals. So they gained a bit of knowledge of what is outside on the sky. And as I said before, this was a proof of concept for a training that will be proposed and was proposed now for the ministry, and we are now waiting for the outcome, but we hope that it will be part of the list of trainings that are proposed to the Slovenian teachers, and that then can be taken in next years. So we learned that actually this intergenerational learning has an effect, has a good effect if you plan to do it. So I really recommend it. We had a little bit of problems in the adaptation and the changing of the schedule, and also in the weather condition, because we planned to do also some on-site observations, but unfortunately the weather was not fine. But we had very good weather in Chile at the end, so it was really, really nice to have all these nights were really super to take photos and to observe. We built also a network of professionals, and actually what the teachers were saying is that, as I go back to what they were saying, so for example, that they exchange ideas, experiences, views, and that there were friendships that were formed during this teacher training. And this is really the important part, because as friends they will learn and collaborate even without those trainings. And also this curiosity that was sparked during the observation, it was really unbelievable, because they were staying basically awake all the night just to see what the others were doing, what were the pictures taking, what they wanted to understand from that picture. For example, the luminosity of a cluster or something like that. So they were really, really exploring all the possibilities that they had with these pictures, and that's very, very important. And I have to also thank obviously the OAE for giving us the opportunity to have this teacher training, and also the Cosmolab Institute, so Andrei Gushtin, Andrea Gombots, Barbara Roszek, and Tanya Petruszewska, that gave also some lectures, and so on and so forth. So a lot of people were participating, and we are really proud of having this bunch of people together, and to know each other better. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ginger. Thank you again so much to everyone who shared their TTPs. I mean, I think this is quite exciting. Sometimes looking at things on paper and seeing them when they've been done is quite different, but thank you so much for that. I think I'll just take a moment now. There are some questions, maybe they're directed to the speakers that we've had, and then some questions related to just the logistics of the TTP, which I can get into now as we are running out of time a bit. So there's some questions that are related to me. I think there's a question on in the proposal, do we need a detailed budget breakdown or rough estimates are fine? I think at this stage of the proposals, a rough estimate is fine. Mostly, we want the proposal. Mostly, the reviewers want to see where you are actually saying you're spending money in. So that's just what they want to see. So you can really submit a rough estimate of that. If your proposal goes to the following round, then they will ask for a detailed budget breakdown. The next question is, should we focus on either primary or secondary or mixed is okay? Again, this is you. Immediately when you decide what your audience needs are, then you'll be able to decide which teachers that you're speaking to. So the teachers are up to you. Your audience is up to you. If you are having secondary school, primary school, or a mixed, that's up to you as long as those speak to the outcomes and goals that you have for your TTP. Then the other question is, can we use the budget to support teachers' travel and accommodation? Yes. Yes, that's what the budget is there for, exactly for the purposes of making sure that people who can't reach places are able to reach those places. So it's really definitely speaking to access. Definitely you can do that. Is there a recommended duration? Again, this recommendation mostly comes from you. You tell us what you are thinking, and the reviewers will then take it from there. So the reviewers in most cases will say, well, this is fine for 2 days, or this is okay for 3 days. We recommend this and that. So you tell us what you think of doing, and then the reviewers will be able to review that properly. There's another question that is in the chat related to I think Ima, I think you can unmute. Is this the result of the proposals, or after you have done? I'm not sure. Is Ima here? I think that Ima is asking about when do you plan to deliver the results, and okay, so the results meaning when the outcomes should be. So if we do not extend, and I don't think we will extend the call, we hope to at least release the results on the first week of July. And for those who progress to the next round, where we, probably give them a conditional grant, we do ask for more details in those applications. So we will plan on at least saying the outcomes of what proposals are in the first week of June 2026. And the transfer of funds usually happens around the end of July, early August. And this is based on when we already sent out conditional grant. There's certain conditions that people have to meet and certain documentations that have to be submitted, so that we give our proposers time to gather the things that are needed, and this usually takes about a month for people to get everything they need, including signatures in cases where they are partnering up with institutions. We do need signatures that are signed at a higher level as well. So that tends to take a bit of time. So I think that if you want to organize, if I'm being fully realistic, I'll say plan to host a TTP from October, if I'm being honest. Am I correct, Gwen? Because that's sometimes how the funds work. So at least for later in the year and early next year, that's where I would say. If there's any more questions, people can raise their hands. No one. Sorry, Winters, I saw your question, but I wasn't sure, was it directed to me or was it directed to the speakers? If you can unmute. I don't know if Winters is here. I don't know, is Munta still here? I think I see your question, but I'm not sure if it's directed to me or to the other people. The question says, how is the national physics curriculum integrated with astronomy TTP? I am not sure I fully understand that question. So are you saying that in case, I'm going to try my best to try and answer this. Are we speaking about the physics curriculum that each country has and how you can integrate an astronomy TTP within that? I think this speaks to what Lakshmi and Tarita said they did in their TTP. They took teachers who teach physics, and then they took certain concepts which can be taught using some kind of astronomy tools and resources and content as well. And so they looked at those concepts and phrased them in their framing into astronomy content. And I think that's what they did. I'm not sure if I'm answering Winter's correctly, but Taritha, maybe you can at least expand a little bit on that.
Yeah, sure. I think I can. Yeah, so like just in the case of Kenya, where astronomy is not taught as a subject, so we only have it as physics. We have physics at high school level, say so. So what we do is that you go through the curriculum, you look at physics concepts that you can then integrate with astronomy. And then I think I gave the example of, let's say, even maths concept, an example of scale drawing, where now we use the distance from from the sun to planets to explain the concept. So it's a maths concept, but then you're using astronomy to enhance understanding among the learners. So that is something that perhaps can work for countries where astronomy is not a standalone.
Yeah. Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you so much, Taritha. Does anyone have any other questions, especially related to the application process? Because I think I need to stress out that applications, you can download the application on our website, then you can fill in the application, and then you have to submit the application to the website again. So you have to answer a few questions, and then you have to upload your application into that website. There's another question that is it mandatory to have a NAIC member to endorse the application? Yes, it is. You have to have a NAIC member not only endorsing the application, but also submitting that application. The NAIC has to submit on your behalf as well.
Siamniso?
Okay. Hi. Hi.
Sorry.
Sorry. Hi. This is Bharat from India. So, what if a NAIC member is already endorsed someone else, and we are still interested to do the TTP? Can they do multiple endorsements?
They have to email us first and find out from us what they can do, because, I mean, for example, in India, we have 5 NAICs and we have also 5 associate NAICs. So that's already 10 applications that we can be expecting from India. So they have to speak to us first, and then we can deal with this on case by case basis.
Okay, because sorry, Gwen, I have this one question. So later on, I'm very sorry. Okay, why? Because we did contact a couple of NIEC members, and I assume that most of them are already been endorsed one proposal already, and the other NIEC members, I think they are the evaluators, so I don't think they would be in a position to endorse us. So can you kindly reflect some value-based propositions here?
So like I said, I think I mean, we have about 10 people, right? When we have 5 associates in India, and we have 5 NICs as well. So please do email me. I think the NIC has to reach out to us to actually make a proper decision. Because if we do not have a NIC attached to your application, then it is a bit problematic for us. So even if I see Winter says that they also have the same issue, there is no NIC. Please, Winters, if there is a NIC that you really wanted to work with, but they're working on another application, please let them write to me. And then we can deal with this, because it's a really a case by case thing as well. Yeah.
I've just added the link on a couple of these questions for the how to become a NIAC application process, because
Yes.
from that people might identify somebody within their network who might be interested in applying, and just have a look at the page and it tells you how it works.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think, see, I'm not sure if you explained it before. The way I understand it is that the reason it's just one NIAC per application is because it's an awful lot of work, for them as well, being our contact and keeping on top of everything. And for these projects to work well as well, we also have to be fair that the NIAC isn't overwhelmed with doing too many on top of everything else they're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Because like we said that we want the NIAC to also be active in your TTP. So it's not just a signature thing where, they sign it off and then it goes ahead, but we also want them to be active in your TTP. We want them to have a role in your TTP as well. So that is the other thing. So interested, Samir was the person you spoke to. Please ask Samir to also email me, and then we can take it further line on that. Any other questions that we have? I can see that I'm a bit over time. Not a bit, about 15 minutes over time, but if you do have any questions.
Well, people are still here, so they're interested, Siamiso.
I mean, I am a bit scared that, I am jumping over time. But if you do, I mean, especially the NIAC one application issue, it's quite an important one for us. And I will, if you email me, or if you ask the NIAC, if you could email me with the NIAC copy as well, then I can take it from there and I can make better informed decisions relating to that. Because at the same time, because of the funding structure that we have, and I'm just going to use the case of India, for example, the funding for TTPs in India comes from India, and it's also based on how many they can also fund there. And I want to see how we can mitigate those. And in cases where people are approaching the same NIACs, it could be about, okay, let's see how far these people are from one another. And if actually people can collaborate in one TTP this year and collaborate on another idea the following year. And I think this is something that we need to explore, because we are not just saying that we are being we are not we are also trying to build a community, and not saying that things have to exist in silos, one of this, one of this, one of that. But in cases where there could be collaboration, even in projects, we want to encourage that. So please do ask your NIACs or the person that you're referring to email me, and we can see what we can do there. But I'm excited that there is so much interest in the TTPs, because that's what we need to do. The global goal of advancing astronomy education globally is something that we are all passionate about. Are there any more questions? I can see some likes from South Africa. We are getting a lot of people and contacts. So Bizani and Sibuile, South Africa, I can see you there. I'm sending people to you that are coming to Gwen and I and asking about their interests. So that is also coming too. If there are no questions, I'm just going to leave you with this slide on evaluation. And I'm just hoping that, I will see you. This is not the last time I see you. I'll see you again. And then in that meeting, we can be talking more on the details of how do we evaluate our TTPs and what kind of survey tools can we use to evaluate our TTPs effectively. Because this is something that is also quite important, looking into what you did and if it worked well. So hopefully we can really get into some details of this in the following meeting, in the following workshop or anything like that. But please do note that the applications deadline is next week, Thursday, the 30th of
April.
The 30th of April 2026. And this deadline, and I'm going to be very generous and say, as long as it is the 30th of April where you are at, you can submit the application. Okay. So on that time, that's when you can submit the application. But once the deadline is off, we will close applications. So as long, even if you are in Hawaii, as long as it is still the 30th of April, wherever you are, you can submit your application. And we look forward to having your applications. Please do reach out to people, to the other TTPs that might have inspired you today. And, if you want to know more about what they did, I will be uploading all of their reports on our website, so you can go there for some inspiration as well. But thank you so much for staying and attending this workshop. I really appreciate it. And thanks to Gwen and the rest of the OAE team that joined me today. I'm sorry, the OAD was celebrating 15 years today, and I spend a lot of time there. So the OAE, thank you so much for supporting that, and I look forward to getting your applications next week. So excited to see what comes out this year. If there are no questions, I will close the meeting here, and I really appreciate it. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, Gwen.
Bye.